And I vowed that day driving home that that would be the last day that I would feel uncomfortable in a room. Because I had to understand that any room that I walked in, all I had to do was be myself. My name is Rashad D. Thomas, a regional director with AT&T, a loving father, husband, and community servant, and a Miami native. When my mother went into labor, she was living with my grandmother in Liberty City on 55th and 7th Court, where my name still resides on the sidewalk. She married my stepfather, and he was working for a family called the Pearsons. And the Pearsons lived in the Redlands, and this was a wealthy family. And I remember going there and as a child just walking around this beautiful home. But the Pearsons provided us with shelter. And that shelter was a little small home, was a little shotgun house, which was in the middle of some lime groves. So in order to get to our home, you had to know where to hit those lime groves to get to the house. And unfortunately, we had a house fire. And once the house caught on fire and burnt down, we relocated to Liberty City. So Liberty City was one of those driving forces where you didn't know what you was going to see on any given day. You know, whether you see someone prostituting, someone on the sidewalk with a needle hanging out of their arm, that was the Liberty City that I was raised up in. So as a child coming back to Liberty City, it was different. You know, our life had been turned upside down. We moved into a little small apartment right off of 61st Street and 12th Avenue. And we lived in those apartments for many years. But my stepfather, upon that return, things kind of changed for him. If he was on drugs, now his drug habit had increased. And I can remember times where me and my mom would leave for the weekend. And we would come back home and everything in the home would be gone. When I say the china cabinets, the china, the furniture, game console, everything would be gone. And he would be somewhere in a home overdosing. I'll never forget when my oldest son, who's now 15, he was 12, he said he was so excited. He said, "Dad, what do you remember when you were 12 years old?" And I say, I had to think about it for a minute. I said, "Do you really want to know?" He said, "Yeah, tell me." He was excited. I said, "I remember coming home from church one night, and my mom and stepdad got into it because my mom had took my stepdad's drugs and threw him in the garbage, and he was outraged and she kicked him out. I remember coming back, he busted the window out of the front window out of the home, and as a young man, I felt that I had to protect myself and my mother. So here it is, 12 years old. I'm in the middle of the streets fighting a grown man, but I had to do what I had to do in order to protect my mother and to ensure that I was also protecting myself. So that's one of the things that I kind of regret. That I spent a lot of my childhood when I probably shouldn't have been on the parks and playing and having fun. I was actually going to counseling for someone else's habit. And I didn't understand at the time. And I had a lot of resentment regarding that as I got older. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to forgive and forget. I'm definitely thankful right now for the friendship that I have with my mother. My mother is my best friend. Me and my mom probably talk 5 to 10 times a day. And I didn't understand that as a child because my mom didn't play. My mom was strict. I could give you a story. I remember prom night. My mom gave me a beeper and she beat me all night long. So when I got home, I gave her that beeper. I said, "Mom, you know what, you can have this." But I didn't understand what she was doing. And I didn't even understand when it came to schooling, because she always ensured that I went to school out of my community. Here, as I was a kid in Liberty City, but I went to North Beach Elementary. I went to Miami Springs Middle School, and then wind up at the great Coral Gables High School. And here it is, it was like, I was one of them kids, my wife had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to school. With my friends, they don't have to get up to 6:30, 6:45, because the school is right up the street. But by the time I got in my senior year, that's when I really started seeing why she was, why she wanted me to go to Coral Gables, or why she wanted me to go to school out of my community. And that's because she wanted me to see things different. Because my community was my community, and my community they were going to be there. And they were talking about the football games, and at the time they were talking about all the old school Chevys and all the cute girls. But at Coral Gables, you were being challenged. Did you complete any college applications? Did you have any acceptance letters? Did you go on a college tour? So the conversations were a lot different, and because of those conversations, it helped me understand that I needed to be thinking a lot different. So I'm very thankful for my mom for thinking outside the box and ensuring that I received the best education. Not saying the best education is not in the inner city, but being able to be exposed to other environments also helps with that education. When I was growing up, people used to always tell me that I would be a pastor.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not a pastor in the church physically, but I still consider myself like a pastor. I do a lot in the community.
Always doing good deeds and things like that.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So would you say I'm kind of doing the great work that my grandmother would want me to be doing?
Yeah.
Growing up as a child, even though I was facing all of these challenges, I had a praying grandmother. And my grandmother, even still to this day, is my angel. That's my rock. That's my everything. And one thing she did, she always provided comfort. She ensured that no matter what I was going through, I was being loved and I was being shown love. And I went to church Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Why? Because Grandma was going to church. Grandma was that pastor. And the biggest challenge and obstacle that she gave me was to finish college. My grandmother didn't have a high school diploma. All of her kids, they went through high school, but not all of them graduated. But no one went to college. I wasn't the first grandchild, but I was the first grandchild to go to college. And she used to always say, I just want to see you graduate from college. And once you graduate, the good Lord can come take me home. And I used to always say, Granny, stop that. But she always used to say, I just want to see you graduate from college. And once you graduate from college, the good Lord can come take me home. My senior year, for my internship hours, I enrolled in the police academy. I graduated from college April 22nd, 2002. May 10th, I graduated from the police academy. She returned to see me graduate from the academy. June 3rd, she passed away. So just so you understand, every move that I've made throughout my career, I've went to my grandmother to ask for advice. I've went to her on several occasions just to make sure I was making the right decisions. When I'm speaking, I want to make sure that I'm choosing the correct words. So when it comes to my grandmother, she's with me at all times. And when I say all times, I mean all times. So I mean that. So it's nothing that I do that I don't make sure that she's a part of, because I wouldn't be who I am right now if it wasn't for her. But after this happened with my grandmother's passing, I had to return home. And my mom was going through it. It hit her very hard. It hit harder than it hit me, but I understood why. So I had to, start looking for a job. And I reached out to a college friend who wound up connecting me with someone with the Community Action Agency within Miami-Dade County. And that's how my career started. I started out as a temporary employee, working for Miami-Dade County as a community organizer. And I did that for about 7 months until I was fortunate enough to become a full-time employee with Miami-Dade County. But in becoming that full-time employee, I had to make a commitment because I was living in North Miami Beach. And that commitment would be to drive to the Goulds area, which was almost in the Redlands, where I originally grew up at. My wife saw something at that time, and she said, hey, you need to start changing the way you dress. And she bought me a pair of slacks and a dress shirt. And at the time, I was like, I'm not wearing these slacks and dress shirt. I'm just a social worker. I'm just paying people bills. I need to be comfortable, because they come to see me and I'm paper pushing all day long. And it led from that to her saying, well, you're gonna be a social worker wearing a suit. and she purchased me a suit. And I still remember it was a olive green suit. She purchased that olive green suit, and I wore that suit probably 3 times a week, man. You know, that was my favorite suit. And that suit led to me being asked to be the acting team manager at the Liberty City Center. And at this point in my career, anyone who knows Rashad D. Thomas, they know that I'm all about doing things the right way. I'm a community guy. I'm a family guy. Because if you don't respect your family, you don't respect your community, and you don't respect yourself and understand your value, and I keep trying to tell you and trying to let you know that you are that king, that you are that leader, that you are that boss, and you don't understand, then our conversations are over. And that's one of the things that I've had to even engrave within myself, because I can remember times where I would be out at events with the deputy mayor, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel that I belonged in that room. I could give you a story of a United Way event that I went to, and I was waiting on the deputy mayor. And I was sitting in the back of the room, and like we all do, I was on my phone, I was scrolling on my phone. I was comfortable, because guess what? I didn't have to talk to anyone. I didn't have to engage in a one-on-one conversation. But once we left from there, we went to a bar. And once we got to that bar and everybody ordered their refreshments and their drinks, I was standing around, and this bar had a huge mirror up top, and it wrapped around. And when I looked into that mirror, I could see everyone around me, and everyone around me didn't look like me. And in my mind was telling me that I didn't belong in the room, and I didn't belong in the company of the individuals that I was there with, and that I needed to leave. And I listened to that guy on my shoulder, and I left. And I can remember the deputy mayor calling me saying, "Hey, where are you?" I say, something came up and I had to leave. And I vowed that day driving home that would be the last day that I would feel uncomfortable in a room. Because I had to understand that any room that I walked in, all I had to do was be myself. And if no one would accept me for who I was, then they didn't know who they were. And that was something that I carried. And since that day, walking out of that bar, I vowed, and I took that vow, and now it doesn't matter what room I'm in. I've had people, "Man, you work in the room." Why? Because I'm comfortable. And that's one of the things that I've taken throughout my career, and that I teach my boys. You know, it's don't judge a person based off of anything but their heart, their compassion, and who they are. Since 2017, I've had opportunities to be recognized by different organizations. I have opportunities to sit on several boards that had I just been still that social worker or just that quote unquote looking to be team manager within Community Action Agency, those doors would have never opened. And when I say opportunities, I now, here it is, where I started as a program coordinator for the United Way and started out as a loan executive with the United Way. I now sit on the United Way executive board. And you're talking about a kid coming from New Orleans to Liberty City that faced many challenges, and now having the opportunity to sit on a board that impacts Miami-Dade County, that provides funding all across Miami-Dade County. And I have a voice in where those funds go, who is impacted, what communities are impacted by those funds, because I understood that I had more to offer. I understood that I had more to offer in the community by being out in the community and advocating for the community besides sitting behind a desk pushing papers. And I went to Port Miami to help Port Miami work on strategic partnerships and community relations. And it was fun times. It was I enjoyed the port, but I enjoy AT&T even more, because AT&T was actually a role that fitted me more, because now I actually get to do what I like to do, and that's engage with individuals, no matter who you are. Engage with corporations, engage with Senate members, engage with House members, you know, have those conversations about the community, you know, have those local conversations with all the different municipalities, whether it be in South Broward or Miami-Dade County, which are my areas. So I'm very thankful and happy that I listened to that voice that told myself during that drive home that every room that you're in, you belong. Every room that you're in, you belong. No matter who is in that room, you belong in that room. And when you're in that room, they should be thankful that they're in the room with you. And that's the attitude that I have now. And it's not being arrogant, and it's just being confident because I know who I am. I know my value. I know about that little kid from Liberty City that faced all of those challenges and has overcome so much, and that had a praying grandmother, and that has a loving wife, has 3 beautiful sons, and it's all about the community, and it's all about giving back. So as my grandmother stated, and as those individuals in the community stated, you need to be that pastor. Well, guess what? I am that pastor, and I will continue to serve my community. I will continue to give back to my community, and I will continue to love each and every person that I come across each and every day of my life.